A lot of people argue you should never buy a statue unless you have ties to the character, at least a decent amount of knowledge. Well, this guy begs to disagree with you. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. I have another Extreme collectible for you guys. Coming to you live from the office. This is a piece I've had for a few years, and this is one of my favorite pieces in my collection, despite my lack of knowledge about Devilman or Amon. So this is from Figurama. Figurama is an interesting company. They're fairly new. This was the first piece they ever came out with, and they are really into anime pieces. And I pre-ordered this on day one when they initially came out. Little untrustworthy because they were a different company. They are a licensed company, which is fantastic. And their production dates and communication at that time was horrible. I think the statue was delayed 6 or 7 months, and getting an answer from them was like pulling teeth. And then usually the answers they gave you were false. So I became very frustrated. Then finally, when he came out 6 or 7 months late, they actually shipped it to my billing address, which was an empty building. Oh, and the best part, they didn't even tell me it shipped. But in the end, I ended up getting him, opening him, and I was extremely impressed. The end product was fantastic. So I chalk that up to, hey, they were a new company. Maybe they weren't used to this. They weren't ready for all the delays. Hopefully by now they've done a much better job on their customer service. When I buy their pieces, I now go through a third party. The next piece I have on order from them is this Attack on Titan piece. I cannot wait to have. Now I've also reviewed another piece for them. You may have seen this Hunter x Hunter review right here. Now of those three pieces, this is the one I actually have the least knowledge about, but I bought it because it looks badass and it's still one of my favorite pieces to this day. So today we're going to look at it, we're going to dive into an in-depth review, we're going to go over details, paint, sculpt, all that good stuff. But before we do, check out this giveaway. We are going to hit 20,000 subscribers in 2020. To do that, we're giving away a statue every 2,500 subs. At 15,000 subs, the winner will get to choose between these two PCS Mortal Kombat statues. Make sure that you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, and you've hit that bell notification. Then stay tuned towards the end of this video to find out how to enter. I don't know a lot about the source content material, so as we talk about concept on this piece, I might get some of it wrong, or I may miss some of the things that are actually hidden in the statue, which would probably make it even better. But let's take a look. At the base here, I absolutely love this base. You have two different things going on. On the bottom, you have these evil devil bat skulls, or whatever you want to call them. I assume they have some tie-in to the anime or the source material here, but they look fantastic, the paint and sculpt. It's kind of a sub-base right below the actual base of rocks. Charged, scored earth, or maybe this isn't even earth. It kind of looks like it could be hell. I mean, that's Devilman. And of course, I don't know if Devilman comes from hell, but it's moving in a way that maybe their fight is actually influencing the way of the earth. It's impacted it so hard. And you have Amon here, who is just simply a badass. He reminds me a lot of a minotaur and a bat and a devil all put together. He's in a very dynamic pose because he is holding off an attack from Devilman. Devilman is swooping in on him with his wings. It is a fantastic looking scene right here, very fluid, very in motion, and they just look evil as hell. You can't even tell who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. And if you don't know a lot about the source material like me, it almost looks like Amon would kick his ass simply due to his size. Plus Amon is sporting the nipple ring, which is also awesome as well. But very, very cool dynamic scene going on here between the two characters. I assume it's an epic battle. That's kind of what Figurama does. They pick the most epic battles from the Japanese anime stuff they choose. And I don't know if this is specifically an anime, but it does have the Japanese ties, I do know that. But even if you don't know the source material, I think this is fantastic. It has two evil creatures with an awesome base and just a very dynamic pose going at it. It displays fantastically. I think the concept's a 4 out of 5. And I bet you for the people that are actually tied to the source material, it's probably a 5 out of 5. Now let's talk about the design, and it's been so long since I assembled it. I do remember that the wings are separate pieces. I believe the tails are. Obviously Devilman's a separate piece. His portrait is a separate piece too because there are two different switch outs. So here's the head that I have displayed. And then here's a stock photo of the other one because I left it in the box. And let's get dimensions on him. I believe this is 1/6 scale, if I'm not mistaken. So it's 19 inches wide. It is a tall piece, so the tallest point is just over 28 inches. And the depth with this sub base right here is probably almost 16 inches. So for a 1/6 scale piece, it does take up a lot of room, especially when you're looking at height. It's always a challenge to display it. But I've owned this, I think, for about 2 years now, and I've never had any leaning issues, never any engineering concerns. Keys in very well. So I think that the engineering, especially for their first statue, was planned out. Seam lines are fantastically done. A lot of cool stuff with the design here. I actually have to give them a great score on the design. They made a very ambitious project, an elaborate project. So I'd say it's 5 out of 5. And a lot of people may have wanted some more switch outs. I don't think any are needed. I don't even think the 2 switch outs for Devilman are needed. Now let's check out the paint sculpt, and we'll do that by a video. Check it out. I apologize for the low lighting conditions because it really doesn't do this piece justice. But starting at the bottom, so this sub base that we're talking about, they almost look like bat type skulls. I love the color, I love the texture. It is completely symmetrical, which is one thing I really like, which contrasts the non-symmetry of the rock base above that we'll talk about. But kind of these colors of brown and black, so they don't look like skulls, but the sculpt makes them so. Now, the rock base, first of all, the dynamic aspect of this is awesome. It looks like it's really kind of floating in the air. And up here, I think the paint's a little bit weak on these rocks. However, the bottom rock is more that scorched earth we're kind of talking about, kind of some browns and reds here and there. Maybe some more texture on these rocks would have helped. But it still looks great, don't get me wrong. I think I'm being very, very nitpicky because this is one of the best statues out there. So Amon here, check him out. So his red skin kind of has this glistening effect, not as much as Devilman that we're gonna find out, but he is ripped till there's no tomorrow. It almost looks like the interior muscle of a human being, and you see the veins working throughout. But then his legs and arms are kind of made of this, I don't know if it's supposed to be sculpted fur. It kind of looks like that. That's where I said it kind of reminds me of like a minotaur a little bit. Good fluid motion, the hair's going everywhere. You can tell a lot of time was spent on this sculpt. Then he has kind of a weird belt with these horns sticking out. Just awesome interpretation of this character. I've seen pictures and this looks better than the pictures. Not only because it's a 3D model, some cool black shading where all those muscles are. Take a look at his portrait. Now, one disadvantage, his hand kind of covers it, but it is badass. He actually has bat ears, but even the glistening effect in the mouth, very, very well done. These long black fingernails. Check out his tail on the back. Actually comes out of his back here. Serpent-like tail with the club on the end. And then check out Devilman's wings. I like these. I think old and torn, almost like he's been in a fight. I think the paint could have been a little bit better to make it look a little more decrepit. But Devilman almost looks like a very similar creature because he has kind of this skin aspect showing with the tail, and then kind of this, it's not furry, but more armor-plated aspect. And he has this great glistening effect on the purple body that really just makes this piece pop, especially for, I almost consider this like a darker piece. But look at these armor plates on it. And again, great anatomy, great, fantastic portrait. Fierce. Extremely impressive piece, and honestly, video can say a lot more than I can. But this sculpt is fantastic. The paint's done really well. Very, very impressive piece. This is the second piece I've actually reviewed sculpted by Caleb this week, and I think it is phenomenally done. I love the characters, I love the base. There's so much intricate detail in here, which is why I wanted the statue to start with. I think it's a 5 out of 5 sculpt. It is really impressive on every level. And even when you look at some of the stuff on the back, it is just crazy. The paint, the only negative on the paint is some of the rocks here. I think the sub base right here is fantastic. I think Devilman's fantastic. I like kind of that glistening effect I talked about, the old wings. The paint is done really, really well too. But it's not perfect, so I think it's a 4 out of 5 on the paint for this piece of rail, so which is not a grail, but a piece I really want. This is an older piece, like I said, a couple years old. I think originally it retailed right around 1,000. I don't remember exactly, but I do know they made an edition size of 200, which is fantastic. Now with Figurama being so much more popular, their edition sizes are quite big. So I love the rarity of this, and it's a fantastic deal. I do know initially when they were coming out, people were flipping them for like twice the price, but then you saw them for like $1,200, $1,300. Maybe it was around $800 or $900. I can't remember exactly. But is this an X statue? Does this have the X factor? Is it a 5 out of 5? I think if you don't know the source material, it's still a 5 out of 5. Absolutely. I give it a top score. It's a fantastic one. Like I said, it's one of my favorite pieces. And a lot of times when I'm getting these, especially anime type statues, I really want to get to know more about the source material. Here I just haven't had the opportunity. Sometimes the source material is awesome, like I loved Attack on Titan. I learned about that from statues. Berserk's another example. But then like Hunter x Hunter, I didn't like the source material too much, but I like the statues. Has been a widely discussed topic is what's more important, if you know about the character or if you love the piece. Put that today as your comment below if you haven't commented yet. And the reason I ask you to do that, it'll help you for that statue giveaway. To win one of these Mortal Kombat statues, all you have to do is comment on a video. At 15,000 subscribers, I'm going to pick a random video and pick a random comment. That person will win the prize. They can choose between these two pieces. Also, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I've been wanting to review this piece for a long time. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because I got a bunch of other fantasy and video game type stuff here in the office I've never been able to review, coming very soon. But in the meantime, check out some of these other pieces by these other studios, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.